121 Stat 372, Public Law 11053, August 3rd, 2007. Title 10, Improving Critical Infrastructure Security, Section 1001, National Assess Database. 1. In general, Subtitle A of Title 2, Homeland Security Act of the Act of 2002, amended of Title 5, is further amended by adding the end of the following of the new Section 6, United States Code 124L, is in Section 210 National Assets Database. Establishment. 1. National Asset Database. The Secretary shall establish and maintain national database of each system or assets. The Secretary consultation appropriate Homeland Security official states and determines vital loss of interpretation, incapacitation, destruction, which would have negative deliberation effect of the economical security, public health and safety of the United States and state of local and government. B. The Secretary determines appropriate inclusion of the database. B. 2. The prioritized critical infrastructure list in accordance with Homeland Security Presidential Directive 7 is effective in January 1st, 2007. Secretary shall establish and maintain a single classified priority list and assets include the database under the paragraph 1 through. Secretary determines what if desired and disrupted because national regional catastrophic efforts use of databases. Secretary use of database established subsection A and 1 development implementation department of the plan and programs appropriate maintenance and database. C and 1 general and the Secretary shall maintain annually updated databases established in section A1 and listed established under section A2, including A in establishing data collection guidelines and providing guidelines in the appropriate Homeland Security official of each state. B. The regular reviewing guidelines established under subparagraph A, including consulting with the appropriate Homeland Security officials of the state, soliciting feedback with the guidelines as appropriate. C is providing Homeland Security official and state guidelines on subparagraph A and allowing the official responsibility amount of time to submit to the Secretary any database recommended official inclusion of the database established under subsection A and D, and examining contents identifying the submissions made by an official described incorrectly that do not meet the guidelines established under subparagraph A. E. And providing appropriate Homeland Security official of relevant state of list of submissions identified under subparagraph D of the review of the possible corrections. Before the Secretary finalizes the decision with the submission, will include the database established under subsection A1. 2. The organization information database shall be organized contents database established under subsection A1 is listed established under section A2. The Secretary determines appropriate organizational structure of such continents. Continents include the categorization of the contents according to the sector of the National Infrastructure Protection Plan developed pursuant to the Homeland Security Presidential Directive 7 by the state of the country. By the state and the county, their location, private sector integration. The sector shall identify, evaluate, including departments procured critical information program to acquire relevant private sector information purpose of using information to generate database or include database established under section A1 of the list established. A2. Their attention of classification. The classification information required to provide Congress and department of any other department of the agency under the section specific agency, including the assignment of the level classification of such information shall be binding in Congress and the department of any other federal agencies. D. The reports one report not later than 180 days after the date of the implementation recommendations. 9/11 Commission Act of 2007 annually there shall be submitted after the Committee of the Homeland Security, Government Affairs, the Senate of the Community Homeland Security, House of Representatives report of database established under subsection A. This is established in the A2 continents report, and each such report shall include the following: the name and the location of each sector classification, each of the system assets, the list established under section A2B, the name of the location sector classification under the systems assessed to such a list to determine the sector to become most risk of terrorism. C. The significant challenges complying with the list of the system assets, including such a list that in that database established under subsection A1. D. As signifies changes in preceding supports of systems to assess and include on such a list of such databases, if appropriate, the extent to which the database and such of the list have been used individually joint for allocating funds of federal government to prevent or reducing, mitigate, respond to active terrorism, the amount of coordination between the department and private sector through any department of the meets the representatives of private sector identifies the purposes of coordination through the purpose ensuring the accuracy of such a database and such a list. Any other information secretary deems relevant and classified information in the report shall be amended unclassified may be contain certain annexes. D. The Inspector General study no later than 2 years after the date of enactment implementation recommendations 9/11 Commission Act of 2007. The Inspector General shall conduct the study implementation of the section of the National Infrastructure Protection Consortium. The sector may establish consortium to be known as the National Infrastructure Protection Consortium. The consortium may be advised of the Secretary on the basis of best way to identify, generate, organize, maintain database list of systems, assets, establish secretary, including database established under the subsection A1 and listed established under subsection A2, and the Secretary established a National Infrastructure Protection Consortium, and the consortium may 1. Compose of national laboratories and federal agencies, states, local Homeland Security organization, academic institutions, national center of excellences, and have been demonstrated experience working to identify critical infrastructure key resources. 2. Provide input Secretary on any request pertaining contents on such database and such list. 2. 6 United States Code 124 deadlines for implementation notification of Congress not later than 180 days after the enactment of the Act. Secretary of Homeland Security shall submit the first report required under Section 210 ED and the Homeland Security Act of 2002 as added in subsection A. Clerical amendment. The table of contents is subsection 1B, and such act is further amended by the inserting after the item relating to 210D Section 102. Risk assessment and report. Risk assessment section 201, the Homeland Security Act of 2002, 6 United States Code 121. D is further amended and adding in the following the new paragraph to prepare to submit to the Committee of Homeland Security, Government Affairs, and Senate Committee Homeland Security, House of Representatives, and appropriate or in congressional committees having jurisdiction in critical infrastructure key resources. Each sector identified the National Infrastructure Protection and report comprehensive assessment carried out for the Secretary critical infrastructure key resources in the United States, evaluating threat, vulnerability, consequences required of subsection each of the such report, and shall contain applicable countermeasures, recommendation, or taking a secretary ahead of another federal agency to address and identify any assessments shall be required for official years 2007 and a substantial official year submitted not later, but 35 days after the last day of the official year covered by the report. And C may be classified. D, reported by industrial preparedness no later than 6 months after the last day of the official year 2007, the subsequent official year of Security, Homeland Security, in cooperation with the Secretary of Commerce, Secretary of Transportation, Secretary of Defense, Secretary of Energy, shall commit with the Committee of Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs, and Committee of Homeland Security, Government Affairs, and Senate Committee of Financial Services, Committee of Homeland Security, House of Representatives, a report details taken of the federal government to accordance with the subsections A and C in Section 101 Defensive Production of 1950 United States Code of Act 207-1. Prepare industry, reduce interruption of critical infrastructure, key resources operation during an act of terrorism, natural catastrophe, or other similar national emergencies. 103. Sense of congressional regarding inclusion levies and national infrastructure protection. It is the sense of Congress that the Secretary should ensure the levies are included on one of the critical infrastructure the resources identified in the National Infrastructure Protection Plan. And on to Title 11, Enhance Defense Weapons of Mass Destruction.